Oh,
All
you're
right,
good.
it froze.
You're frozen on your end.
No, okay, we're good now. We're good now.
Okay, yeah. Just
All right,
as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you should be pretty good.
excellent. Cool.
All
Thanks for
right.
doing this. I
Well,
probably should have downloaded this on my computer.
oh, it's all good. As I said, you're going to be
All right.
reoccurring. So, Dr. David Smith, welcome very much to the BuckleUp podcast with Brandon Rush, or BuckleUp Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush. I am Brandon Rush. This is my mom, Carolyn Smith. Who?
Hi, they refer to me as Mama Rush. But good to meet you, Dr.
Mama.
Smith. Oh, great.
You too.
Yeah, well,
Mama
we're very
Rush, I like
excited to
that.
have you here. Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it. Originally, she's
It
the one that came up
does.
with my name. There's a movie called August Rush, which is about a gifted kid. I was born in August, so she said, "For now on, you're known as Brandon Rush," and that's been my name ever since.
Oh wow. Okay. This thing is going
Absolutely.
in and out.
So the reason we have you here, what's that, Dr. Smith?
It sounded like my headpiece was going in and out for a second. So sorry about that, but I think we're good now.
Oh.
Sounds good now.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, Dr. Smith, we're spotlighting you here today. We know we know a little bit about you, that you're a cardiovascular surgeon. Is that correct?
Cardiologist. I was an invasive cardiologist. I'm an old guy now, so I just stay in the office. Yeah, I don't get bloody anymore.
Okay.
Procedures are done.
Absolutely. How long did you do that for?
How long?
So let's see. I've been a doctor 26 years, cardiologist maybe 17.
Okay.
The years
And
wear
now
on you after a while.
What's that, sir? I'm sorry.
I'm saying the years wear on you. That's why I look this old early.
Oh, yeah, you still look good. You still look young. As you know, they say sometimes they say black
Bad
don't
lighting
crack.
in here. It's just bad lighting in here.
You're now practicing cardiology. Is that correct, Dr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'm not invasive anymore. So non-invasive cardiology. I'm more of one of the preventive guys around here, right outside of Charlotte.
Oh, great.
Okay, and what a couple things I want to ask along that. What does your job entail? For someone that said there's a lot of listeners who are going into med school or want to be doctors, what all does that entail? Also, I want to know, let's start with that first.
Wow.
Like where you went to college in order to get to where you are. So your college up to med school and your residency.
Me, all right, well, that's a little bit different. So, because my pathway, I don't think it's not the normal one. And I don't have to say it's unique. I mean, a lot of people have gone through it, but it's not the traditional, hey, I open up a book and then this is how it works. So for me to get where I am, all right, so going back, way back, eons ago, decades and eons ago, hundreds of years ago, I'm actually the youngest of 6 kids, Jamaican kids. So, but the problem is I'm the only one, me and the youngest, I'm the only one that was born in America. Hated that. So anyway, born in America, brought me back out to Jamaica and then brought me here and then started bringing up the kids one by one. In Waterbury, Connecticut. So it's kind of weird. So again, all the kids are older. My mother thought it was better to come to America than stay in Jamaica. So she wanted to be a nurse there her whole life and ended up coming to America to be a maid in Hawaii, then California. And my father thought it was better to be a farmer here than Jamaica. So he was a farmer in Florida. They got together in Connecticut. And then I came. And then they started bringing up my sister and then on and on and on. So by the time I was born, I had, these older kids already in Jamaica, et cetera, et cetera. But the difference is there. Yeah, of course, we had, lower income background, but the point there is that I went through all the public schooling system in Waterbury. And the reason I bring that up is you don't have people there in that kind of system who tell you to be a doctor, who want you to be a doctor, who are going to pull and reach their hand out and say, come on, let's do this, let's be a doctor. The reason I wanted to be a doctor is I had a pediatrician. And I think he was Filipino, and he had this. I liked the way his hair was, so I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to have Filipino hair. And people always said, "Hey, you have to be smart and you have to do all the rest of this." And I didn't really know what smart meant. I just knew, again, the Jamaican family. You don't really ever want to mess with a Jamaican mother, and I was afraid of my Jamaican father. So when they told me to knock it out in school, don't mess around, I started doing that. And so I got this real big internal rage and anger or something like that, I knew how to focus. By the time I got to the point where they started giving out scholarship or awards in grade school for something called the highest scholastic average. I had no clue what
Okay.
scholastic meant. They were saying, well, that meant the highest grades in class. And so I found out my best friend got it and I didn't get it. And so I said, what
Yes.
is that? They said she had the best grades in class. I was heated. So I said, I wanted those grades. And that was it. So you add the anger, the jealousy, the scary mother, the scary father, the drama from where I was, the no other help. And I wanted the Filipino hair. I said, I'm going to have to be a doctor.
Yes.
I don't know how
Oh,
that
I,
made
I
sense, but
love
it
that.
did.
Continue. No, keep
This
going.
is
You're doing
excellent. This
excellent.
is
You
excellent.
have our
Well,
attention. Keep going from there. You have the floor.
well, the thing is, really, like, so in addition to that, my mother, I was told, always wanted to be a nurse in Jamaica. But yeah, when she came here to America, I mean, the bureaucracy, the politics, the schooling, the way you had to go. My parents didn't know what the schooling was like in America.
Absolutely.
I don't really think they finished, completed secondary school in Jamaica at the time. We had family and things like that. So one time, this is so crazy, they did this thing at my mother's job. She worked at Waterbury Hospital. Again, she wanted to be a nurse, but the only job she can get was folding the linen. See, back then, you just had to hand wash
Oh
it and
wow.
fold it. And, it was one of those, hey, you can bring your kid to work with you. And so I went there, I saw her folding, and then I saw the doctors and the nurses, and they were handling all these things. And then I remember one person told my mother to get him something. He was like, oh, Clarice, her name was Clarice. Clarice, can you go get me that something another? And she was like, yeah, sure. And that just pissed me off. Remember I told you about that, the anger
Yeah.
and the rage and all the rest of that?
Absolutely.
Somebody
Yeah.
told my mother, how you gonna tell my
Yeah.
mother to go get you something? What? No,
Absolutely.
that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna be
Exactly.
the
Amen.
boss.
Yep.
And I dare you to tell me. So I said, I'll do that.
I
I'll
know
be a
that's
doc,
right.
get my
This is
mom to work with
wonderful.
me and all the rest of that. And then, that was it. And I kind of grew up and yeah, regular stuff, basketball play. I'm from Waterbury, Connecticut, like I said, probably four or
Okay.
five, 20 times. And so we have the best basketball players in the world. I mean, we're the ones that fuel the
Oh
University of
wow.
Connecticut,
I don't know about
which is
that.
where
Why?
I went, like Mr. South Carolina, which is where I went, the basketball mecca of the world, the best college program the world has ever seen at University of Connecticut, men and women's. Um, that's where I went. And I set that off in 1995. But to get there, I was a martial artist, basketball player, all the rest of these kind of things have just kind of honed me into really being this focused guy and self-focused. And I was scared, but I wanted to be a doc. Add all that
Oh
together.
yeah.
The only thing I'm missing from this equation is direction. I had no direction. No one told me what to do and how to get there. I just said, all right, I want to be a
Yes, sir.
doc. So you can just wake up one day and be a doc. No. Turned out that my mother ran into this one guy who was a resident there, a resident doctor. That's like a junior doctor, still in training, before they cut the
Okay.
strings. And it was interesting because he told my mother that, hey, yeah, you know what? I know your son wants to be a doctor. I'd be willing to help him. Spanish guy,
Oh,
Puerto Rico. Alex Ortiz Burgos. You weren't expecting that at all, but everybody respected my mother, so he likes my mom. He's like, yeah, okay. So anyway, what he told me, he taught me a whole different pathway. He graduated Yale Medical School. Okay.
Oh
okay.
wow.
He didn't go to college.
Oh wow.
I was like, wait, huh? And then he was like 35. I'm like, wait, most of the kids are like fresh out of college at 20 something. You have a 30 something year old man competing with them, not just competing with him, skated circles around him. And guess what? He didn't have a college
Yes.
degree. He said, well, he said, what I found out is that you needed these 4 general classes plus a year of English, and you had to knock them out. Then you had to take the MCAT, which is a medical college admissions test, like the dental is DAT, the GMAT gets you in, the LSAT gets you in the law, well, medical is MCAT. And so
Yes, sir.
he took those and he said, this is so easy. I'm like, what do you mean this is so easy? So anyway, he took me under his wing, started teaching me. He said, man, I wish I could show you the books. He said, Dave, look it. You want to go to medical school? I said, yeah. He gave me 2 books. Both of them were about 3 inches. And anyone on
Oh,
your podcast who listens to medicine will know Robin's Pathology and Cecil's Internal Medicine books. They were so big, like people used to sit on them, like, with boosters and stuff like that. And he said, when
yes,
you're
sir.
done reading that, let me know. What? Anyway,
Yeah.
I did it. Next
Amazing.
thing you know, he took me under his wing and he started opening all these summer programs. And his thing, again, was kind of like his background. The reason he went and did what he did is he had a pretty tough, stressed out background, and he wouldn't mind me sharing at least that much with you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
That he had, he's gone through a lot of things in life, made things really hard
Yes,
for
sir.
him in life, but was able at the age of 30 something to turn his life around, decide he wants to be a doctor to help those people who were helping him. Then went through, learned those courses, and he gave me the tricks on how to master any course. Next thing you know, I was teaching these summer courses, and then I went
Oh,
through
wow.
UConn Health, and then not only took them, then I went back to teach those as well. And luckily, I applied to maybe 6 or so med schools and got into all of them. And because we're from
Oh, wow.
Waterbury, Connecticut, I keep saying Waterbury, Connecticut. I wanted to stay in the
That's right.
tri-state area, right? New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
No,
So I wanted to stay there, and that was it. I went to Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, but my mother and them were in Connecticut, so I said, no, I need to get back to Connecticut. And so I already did UConn. So I said, let's go to Yale.
Okay.
So I went to Yale Medical and then finished
Oh,
there,
wow.
stayed on for internal medicine, residency, internship. So I don't know if you guys know the way the doctor pathway thing is. After you graduate with your MD, yeah, you're a doctor, but you know nothing. You can't
Yes,
do
sir.
anything. You're not licensed. I don't call it useless, but So the thing is, then you have to be an intern. Then you have to do
Yes, sir.
residency. I did all that at Yale. Then I stayed on at Yale and did 3 years on an NIH sponsored research. So I was a research fellow, nerdy stuff.
Okay.
Then I stayed on and for another couple of years as the cardiology fellow. And that's when you're done, you get a fellowship. And yeah, then you're a full-fledged doctor. You're a full-fledged doctor when you're a resident. You had to apply for a license
Yes,
to
sir.
actually work. But then I stayed on for another fellowship, and then that was great. Then I stayed on for another fellowship. And then I got board certified in both internal medicine and cardiology. And then it was
Holy
like,
smokes.
you got to work or something. So I was appointed a clinical instructor at Yale. And everything was great. And then my wife came in, and I don't know if you guys know how that works, but marriage switches a whole lot of things around. Yeah.
Okay. Please tell us. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, but you're focusing
Because
on
You sure?
family at that point. Focusing on family and
Yeah.
trying to do work as well. And at least you had gone through your studies at that point.
Mama, Rush,
But
no.
yeah, so that's great. Yeah, family. We know that takes time. Do you have any children, Dr. Smith?
So my
am I,
family.
Yeah.
Do I have
sorry, froze
family?
up a little.
Yes. So family does
So
take time. I was asking the question. Go ahead.
big time.
I
Yeah,
was
that's the big
asking.
thing from my family and I as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, so this is what happened when I was a fellow. Our days were crazy. I'd be up in the morning till like 12, 1, 2 in the morning, just doing research experiments and such. And but as I mentioned, I'm from Waterbury, and I went to UConn, the #1 basketball program ever. And so I like playing basketball. So I started playing with the Yale Grad Pro League, and we had some fun times. And it turned out that there was this program there run by this young lady for kids in the New Haven community. So I don't know if you ever knew this about Yale, but in a lot of the those types of institutions, they have the area where the school is, and then one block around it, don't go. They call it the no zone, right? You can
Okay.
literally walk right across the street and be in a dangerous area or something, or what they call as dangerous
Oh,
area.
wow.
For me, no big deal. I'm from Waterbury, but for them,
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people around New Haven who could benefit from a lot. And so this one particular young lady grew up through the whole New Haven system, public system. She was a basketball phenom herself. Brought all that to Yale and had Yale fund a program to get those those kids from those other communities and bring them to Yale for a basketball program this
Yes,
summer.
sir.
And so she knew someone. One time there was a big fair. She knew someone who was my fraternity brother. And I said, "Who's that lady over there?" And then he introduced me to her. And I knew I met her from someplace before, but I met her. Anyway, started talking, chilling. Next thing you know, she says, "Hey, I need someone to help me coach these kids." And then she had the girls' leagues to coach these little kids at the basketball program. So I said, "Yeah, I can, but it's not going to be fair because again, I went to UConn. I mean, we don't lose. It's kind of hard, and it wouldn't be fair for me to come in and beat you in your own program." So anyway, so she said, "Let's do it anyway." She took my best player because I was undefeated, and so we met in the championship. I beat her badly. I was first, and she was second, but it's not my fault. I told her not to.
Hey,
Um,
right? All fair and
So
love and
next thing you
basketball.
know, all's fair in love and basketball. So next thing you know,
Absolutely.
we just really enjoyed hanging out much more than anyone else, more than anything else. We like doing things in the community for each other, for friendship, on and on. Next thing you know, we're married. Kid one comes. She's
Congrats.
my wife. Her name is Queen. I kept saying,
Okay.
they're like, hey, yeah, what's your wife's name? I'm like, oh, well, oh, that's Queen. That's Queen. No, it's so sweet that you call her my Queen. No, no, no. Her name is Queen. Right. So, yeah. So we're there, and kid one comes at the same time. Queen is now the assistant basketball coach for Yale, and then
Okay.
kid two comes out a little bit after that, and then they started coming out two at a time, and twins were there, and so people started thinking, yeah, that's cute and stuff. But if you do the math, that's 4 kids in 5 years. So again, my hair started going back. My daughter started walking and talking, and things just started changing colors and stuff. So family, Mama Rush, to your point, is, family is everything. So at that point, my sister, who's a 25-year Army military veteran, came out with breast cancer. My
Okay.
mother also came out with breast cancer. And this is all a few years after my father died from pancreatic cancer. And here I was with new wife and a boatload of kids coming. And it was like, and I would just be in the laboratory doing experiments till 12, 1, 2 in the morning to pursue an academic career. I mean, it was great, but I said, I'm going to have to mesh it somehow to get family back involved, right? And so I'm a
Yeah.
researcher, I'm a scientist, I'm a clinician scientist. I said, look, I can put all this together. We got all together and went down to North Carolina. And that's where I started the whole thing of cardiology, clinical cardiology. Invasive guy,
Okay.
Okay.
go into the lab, do the catheterizations, where you go into heart, trying to open arteries and stuff like that. That's where I started out wanting to be, but that kind of fell back. And then, I just moved on. And then 2015 said, you know what? There's a lot of drama going on, family, politics, this and that. Kids are younger. I was spending like an hour and a half driving back and forth each way every day. I'll see my kids for 15 minutes to drop them off, and then none later on. And I said, you know what? I just have to go home. And so that
Absolutely.
leads me up from now, 2015 till now, past 10 years. Done a few entrepreneurial type moves. I have my own practice. I have a research clinic, and
Oh, nice.
mostly teaching. Still clinical assistant professor of medicine at Yale through the medical education
Okay.
program. I'm a speaker, and uh, I think more than anything else, two main things. I'm proud dad of my 3 boys and one daughter who's now a freshman at UNCG. And the second
Okay.
thing, the proud husband of Queen, who's now the new head women's basketball coach for the HBCU, Livingstone College.
Oh,
Absolutely.
great. Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. We love that. Doc, sorry, I didn't cut you off, Dr. Smith. Keep going.
Well,
Well, go ahead, Mom.
okay.
Yeah, I know I have something. Go ahead.
Well, you said, anyway, Dr. Smith is so glad that you've done the research and development. You are now still practicing cardiology.
Yes.
I think you said you had something unique that you want to explain to us, whether relative to EKGs or something like that. And I want to hear about that. Did I mishear
I
someone say something? Mhm.
I had
Okay.
so many things. So it's interesting because, well, it's more, coronary disease and people who look like me, right?
Oh,
Where I was
okay.
gonna go, yeah, I'm actually doing stuff through my practice right now. Because again, I'm a physician scientist, like you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Okay.
but there are a lot of things that go on in medicine that have always bothered me. We do the best that we can, or we say that we can in medicine. We get you on the right medicines. We ask you people to do the right things, et cetera, et cetera. And then they still,
I know what you mean, sir.
Hmm.
We not to interrupt you. I know I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer too, so we both have that in common. So I know you see stuff on your end that we all don't get a chance to. You see things firsthand that we don't see, and so that's okay that it impacts you. That it's good to know that we don't always get to see the side of doctors that show emotion and everything. So I think that's great that you do show emotion. I think that is passion that you believe in, and so you're trying to make a difference. So it's okay to be emotional. There's nothing wrong with that. Real men cry. I'll tell you that firsthand.
Well, Dr. Smith, I can understand when you see patients, and I'm a scientist as well, and I used to sell medicines, and I would go into the waiting room, and I would hate to see patients with bags of medicines. And then I know that you are working so hard to let them understand what really is happening, and medicines alone don't do it. Diet has to play a part. I know genetics plays a part as well. But with all of that said, you are continuing to make a difference.
Amen.
And that's always the most positive thing, is the difference that you doctors make. And I've always appreciated you so much for that. And you all taught me so much when I would sell cardiovascular medications. I would go in and I didn't want to push any medicine. I asked a doctor to tell me about his patient types, the patients that he sees, that this might work. And I did work in research and development for a little bit. I worked at Haskell Laboratories as a toxicologist. So I got a chance to see that side of it. And then I wanted to be a nurse too one time. And my daddy said, no, don't be a nurse when you can be a doctor. And then I said, well, Dad, I don't think I want to cut on a cadaver. And so he said to me, okay, what do you want to do? And I told him I would like to sell medicines. And so that is how I got a chance to meet people like you, Dr. Smith, and see all the hard work that you do out there and everything. Can he see it?
Yeah, I believe so. Dr. Smith, you can still hear us, correct?
Uh-uh.
I'll just make sure you can still hear us. Yeah, you're
Can
good.
You good, Dr.
Yeah, there's a little bit of delay.
Yeah.
You can hear us fine.
Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you that I know how you feel about that. I have experienced it so many times when I see patients, and I look at them, and then they will go into a restaurant and order so many things that I think that's just messing with everything that you're trying to do. And so that can be just a hard thing as doctors. And I think that's why I didn't really want to be a doctor, because I didn't want to see that part of it. So with that said,
I'll go into it where Dr. Smith, you said two things that are very important to me. One, you said UConn, and congratulations, because what you didn't notice here is that I have my University of South Carolina shirt on, and UConn's women's team beat my University of South Carolina Gamecocks.
Yeah, that's what Brandon.
Which is a bit of a problem. So that's why I don't know if you guys have the best program, but you were the best on that day. So I got to stick up for my girls and represent my school. And then I also heard you say that you went to Yale. So two of my best friends, Dr. Abrar Kahan, who is at Stanford, is a Yale graduate. One of my other best friends. Yeah, you can look him up. You can Google him. He's all over CNN. He's all over. He's one of my best friends in the world. Went to Yale undergrad. Went to UCLA med school. Went to Dr. Abrar Kahan. He went to Yale, UCLA. After med school, he did a program at Harvard, and then he did a fellowship over in London, and then now he's at Stanford. So he's a Yale graduate. Then there's my friend Prasanna, who is, hopefully I say the company right. He's a big person at Goldman Sachs. And so when I was living, they both went to Yale. They were best friends from Yale. Every single time I flew to New York for auditions, I was staying on Prasanna's couch for like 2 years. I'll probably stay on his couch 77 times. But they are both Yale graduates, and they're both going to be on this podcast too. So I'm so glad that you guys have that connection to Yale. Like you guys are three of the prime examples of the greatness of Yale and the people that go on there. All three of you all came from hardworking families, and you guys are making a name in each of your fields. So I'm so happy to have you on here. You're making a difference. You're teaching. I love that. You're representing your school, not just Yale, but you represent UConn. I think you said Waterbury is the other, Waterbury, Connecticut. And so what you're doing is making a difference. Every person, because we have BuckleUp University, which is helping kids that are going to college or thinking about going to college, by you speaking about your friend, the doctor Rodriguez, I believe was his last name, he showed you the roundabout way how to go about about how to do what you wanted to do.
Mhm.
There are so many people listening right now, including those people that you said across the street from Yale that probably want to be a doctor or a nurse and don't know how to go about doing that. And you just gave them some keys and advice of how they can go about reaching that, which is another reason I want you recurring on here is so that you have so much knowledge that we are trying to make a better difference in this world that you can reach. Well, we can reach everywhere around the world now because we're doing really well. I think we're at 1.4 million people viewing now, and 200. We're gonna hit 500,000 in May.
Okay.
So we want to have you on here as much as possible, Doc. But yeah, we just wanted to add that. But you have the floor. If you can hear me, I'm sure.
I can't hear that
Dr.
well. I
Smith.
see your voice moving, and then it got really staticky. Can you ask that last part
Okay.
one more time?
Oh, I was just saying that. So
So how
we're
many went
very
to
happy.
Yale, and then it went. I'm sorry.
Okay, I
Say-
was saying that my friends, two of my best friends, Dr. Abrar Karan, he's a Yale graduate, and Prasanna is a Yale graduate too. They both one works in with Goldman Sachs in New York. I stayed on his couches for all my auditions in New York. And then the other one works at Stanford now. Stanford Hospital is a doctor there, making a difference just like you're making a difference.
Do your children
let me
have any
turn this up.
interest in being? Okay.
Okay, I think this would be better. You said something about children interested in.
Yes.
Yeah. I was asking, any of your kids interested in medicine? Any of your children?
Oh no, that's cute. That'll never happen.
They
I
aren't or
don't
they
even
are?
think they know that. Oh no.
Oh.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So there are
So
four
they're
of these
carving
kids.
their own path. You said
They're
4?
gonna try and find something. Yep, 4 of these kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. And what they want to do.
What are their ages?
So my daughter is, oh my gosh, I can't believe how old I'm gonna say this is. Goodness. Okay. This sounds so scary, man.
It's all right.
So the twins are 14.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
That hurts, man. And then my daughter is like,
you still have 4 years of them in the house?
yeah, but that's horrible. Son is
it's all right.
Well, it's
so
so
that makes
great
my
you're
son
still
15 and daughter 16, going on 17.
okay.
Oh, holy smokes. They're getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 kids
But
in
hey,
less
you
than
know
5
what?
years.
I mean, yes, sir. I mean, you got to be proud. Obviously, you're a proud dad. Like, you raised them. They probably have a good head on their shoulders. Just from hearing you, I'm like, shoot, I want to take your class. So I know that you have a good head on your shoulders. I think that, as I said, we had that same thing in common. We both lost our fathers the same way. But my father was such an inspiration to me. He's a huge inspiration behind all of this. In fact, it's my driving force that I won't be stopped by anybody.
Yeah.
And so I love how you have that driving force. And my mom, too, because they always raised me to never give up in that. So your family, when you're talking about your parents, my mother and my father both instilled that to me. That's why in my career, I'm part of the 5% that's successful. Mm-hmm. And it's people like you, it's people like me, it's people like Abrar and Prasanna, people from all these, like Mr. Rodriguez, who, despite whatever was thrown at us, we overcame every obstacle. There's so many battles that we fought in silence. There's so many times that we never wanted to give up, but there was times where obstacles were thrown at us, where people did have an advantage, but they didn't have that grit and that courage inside of them to accomplish what you have accomplished, what my mom has accomplished, what my dad has accomplished, what your entire family accomplished, what that person that told your mom, hey, get me this. Well, you know what, sir? We'll be getting your own stuff from now on because now we're the ones in charge.
That's right. That is so true.
I like that. Preach.
Yeah.
I like that.
Don't get me started today. I used to say I'm a different kind of preacher. And we come from a preacher background and military family. Her dad's an Army veteran, World War II. My grandfather was Korean War, my dad's side. So.
And that's fine. With that, but I come from a family of 6 as well, Dr. Smith. You know my sister, Dr. Evelyn Hall Baker. And so with that, I'm the middle of the pack. So they're 2.
I'm sorry, the phone went out. I'm sorry, your sister.
Yeah. I come from a family of 6 children as well. My parents had 6 kids. And so I'm in the middle of the 6 kids. And so it's always with that, trying to make your way through that group growing up. But our parents instilled in us the values of getting an education, working hard, loving one another, loving the Lord most of all, and that with that, the Lord will give you the strength to continue to do and continue to make a difference in society. And that's what we strive to do. And that's why we are so happy Brandon started a podcast, so we can bring people from different walks of life to tell us about what they do, what they love to do, what inspired them to do certain things. And certainly you have inspired me today with your conversations of the different things you have done.
Yeah.
To get where you are now. And that's such an inspiration. It's so inspiring for me. And I know for Brandon
Absolutely.
to hear. And when you think about, he's talking about that 5%, when he went out to Hollywood, and so many people, I would say, Brandon, are you going to make it out there? Brandon said, oh, yes, I'm going to make it. And I knew the Lord was going to take him there and let him be that 5% that will make it with the 75 now TV shows and all that he's been on in movies. And so I told him if he ever got discouraged and wanted to get on a plane and come back home, unacceptable behavior. Unacceptable behavior. I would whip him back onto the plane. Do you understand? So he had no choice. He was caught between a rock and a hard place. Make it work, or you're not coming home. Get you back on that plane. And so I always loved that he knew that. And that's why he's worked so hard. And that's why, again, we love this universe that he has created now with the podcast. And we have over 1 million, well, he has over 1.2 million followers.
Well, it's 1.4 million now, but that's okay.
Okay. He's getting the numbers straight.
We're breaking record numbers, Dr. Smith, like across the world. 56% of the people, actually 57% of people ages 13 to 54 in the United States are tuning in. We have 3% in Canada. We have 2% in United Kingdom, and we have 34% in India. So we're doing all right, sir. So we want to have you on here often.
Yeah. What's the most interesting? Yeah. Can I ask you one question? What has been the most? Yes. What's the most interesting case that you've ever seen in the hospital that it always stands out? It always says. What would you say? Do you have one case that you could share with the audience today?
I mean, that's always tough because it always depends on, the day and what I'm thinking of. I mean, I don't, top of my head right now, I have to think of something.
Well, that's right. We'll have you back on.
You'll be back on.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, do you think it plays a major part when you're looking at cardiovascular disease?
Interesting.
The diets of people.
Does that? Oh my gosh, that's huge. It's paramount. You know what? People forget that your diet is actually more important than the medicine, right? Like we're quick to take pills and think that that's going to change things. I can totally negate. I can damp your pills, or I can make them work better just by making you eat a certain meal. So pills are medicine, but so is your food. So a lot of times people will say, "Hey, I'm taking all these meds and I don't know what's going on." I do. Yeah, for lunch. Yeah, have a great time with this stuff, man. It's fun, man. I don't know. So, like I was saying, the Jamaican background and stuff. I mean, they grew up, not being able to afford a lot of pills, or not even having a lot of pills. A lot of people in my family believe in the doctors. Like, you can live off the earth. My father used to say it all the time, y'all. Live off the earth. You have to live off the earth. Everything you want, Jesus. God give me everything you want, and then on earth, and on and on.
Absolutely.
CT, all these things.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Smith, I grew up that same way. To this day, I hardly like desserts, but we didn't eat a lot of stuff. In fact, I think in our medicine cabinet, the only thing I remember as a child, we had castor oil. We had the iodine. What else? We had aspirin. That was the only medicine, aspirin. And we didn't take much of that. But for our desserts, we would eat oranges and apples. And my mom and dad, we'd eat a lot of fish and chicken. And my mother background is from the islands, her mother. And so we learned to be healthy eating children. We plant our own gardens. And so medicine, I think it has its place, but the natural way of life, I've always thought that was the way things should be. All these
Oh
chemicals are making people sick. So when you said that, I said, that's like my family. And I think because we
yeah.
had
Oh yeah.
6 children, limited income, of course we learned to eat off the land and to be healthy and to go outside and to run and to play and
Oh
to study. So I
yeah.
can identify with you on so many things that you said here today when it comes to
Mhm.
your family. It makes me feel so good to hear you talk about those things, because I think if we were to take children and get them off of that candy and all that other stuff that they now, and sometimes it's that they can't afford it, but to find a way to provide that, and to teach more nutrition at an early age to children, I
Mhm.
think by the time it's your time for them to see someone like you, it might be something in their DNA, genetics. It might not be related to food. And that's why I wanted to hear you talk today. Now, one other question I have. How do you think AI will play, if you're going to use that artificial intelligence in anything? Do you think it has a place within your professional ability to do medicines, or to improve on medicines, or improve on your treatment options?
Oh, AI is already part of medicine. It's actually getting, a lot more integrated actually. So, I mean, Harvard even has a course coming out now, and I think a couple other people have courses on how to integrate medical AI into your practice. I mean, we're getting certifications. Doctors are getting certificates nowadays in AI and medicine
Oh,
to integrate it. Yeah.
okay.
So, um, everything from, the more simpler platforms of, hey, a person's home and, if they feel one way, feel another, that they get auto diagnosed by a computer system that downloads and tells us what's going on, to other times where
Okay.
speaking to, right? Yeah, you can get paired up in certain research, clinical outfindings, clinical trials. People have one illness and it can pull up another trial that has to do with it, and then connect you to a whole bunch of other people. And it's AI is huge already in medicine. And two things
Okay.
are happening. One, we're just getting more used to and letting down our guards in terms of how to deal with it and integrate it. And
Okay.
so a lot more doctors, like, are starting to, you know, trying to integrate it more into their practices. And then number two, the more we integrate, AI is self-teaching. So it's going to get
Absolutely.
better and better and better. We're going to ultimately get to, what imagine life, what they say, life imitates art. We're going to get to
Absolutely.
the point where we were back with the Jetsons and stuff, where, they would just have a robot come and like hit a beam and everything, you're
Absolutely.
fixed, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. We're getting closer and closer to that all
Absolutely.
the time. But it also means our
Well,
jobs
two
are going to
things,
be
Dr.
replaced,
Smith.
right?
Oh, sorry.
No,
Hopefully they don't replace. We're still going to need,
no.
mom always says we need that human
You
touch.
always need a human touch.
But I just want to say two quick things. One, I came up with a patent for artificial intelligence in 4 days. I learned artificial intelligence in 4 days, came up with a patent. Yeah. And everybody thought I was going crazy. No one believed me, but
Uh,
I knew what I had done. But no one believed me except for just to say that no one believed me, but except for my professor and the guy that I told to as well that was in the room present. So that's one thing. The second
wow.
thing is, I was going to visit my dad's grave the other day, yesterday, because he passed away from pancreatic cancer. But I wanted to go visit him. My mom made this nice flower arrangement for him and for my grandparents. She put a flower in there. And as I was going to visit his grave, I swung by my grandfather's old church in the South. And I ended up having, they were helping give away food and all this kind of stuff. And I was very thankful at Progressive Church. I was thankful for what they were doing, but I saw these ladies needed help. The ladies, sisters, we call them, because I grew up in the church with my grandfather. I was always there with them. So I went over to help them because it was hot outside and I was helping them take all this food, doing some volunteer. I volunteered for about 30, 45 minutes. But they were
Nice.
giving trays of cookies and cakes and all this processed stuff. I'm like, oh my God, like you can't be doing this. Some of these people already have medical issues, and this is making it worse. It was trays of cookies, cakes, croissants, all that processed stuff that you deal with. And like, we're a little bigger in the South, but I'm like, they don't need this. Like, this isn't going to what you said earlier. This is exactly the problem. Like, I mean, they mean well. They're giving steaks out and food and vegetables and all too, but those cakes and cookies, I had a panic attack. I told mom, I'm like, I was putting 9 trays
Wow.
all together in each of these people's cars.
Brandon came
Yeah.
on he loves to help volunteer, but it was so disturbing to see all these sweets given out.
Yeah.
And I said, did you see anyone with oxygen tanks or mask and heavy? And he said, yes, Mom, I saw that. And he said, I felt bad about putting 4 trays of cookies in the car. And then on top of that, they asked for additional cookies and cakes.
They had all of the above, all of the symptoms. Did you check that little box? Do you have this, that, and the other? They had all of it. And I'm putting these things in there. Feeding things like cancers, feeding things like congestive heart issues like that.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they meant well, but I'm like, they don't need this. Like, we got to change up this whole entire menu here, people. I don't know what it is. You mean well, but we got to change it up.
I told Brandon the next time he helps out, maybe to give a nutritional track out, as well as a track on salvation. But those 2 pieces of information can always help help people get better, eat better, think about it, or make better decisions. And I think that education plays a major part with that. And I'm so glad we had parents, your parents, Dr. Smith,
Absolutely.
and my parents really instilled in us a healthy way of life. And of course, cancer comes about with his daddy having pancreatic cancer, which was a shock, and your father too. But with that said, I told Brandon, moving forward, let's try to encourage church people to do just a little bit better sometimes. Not only church people who are out there, children, do better by their kids and themselves. And you can always, don't you think you can, sometimes people say it's too late. As a medical doctor, do you feel it's too late to turn around coronary artery disease, to change the trajectory of a person's life with just making, I don't care what the age, let's just say if you're in your 50s or 40s and you're heavy, do you think that you can change the trajectory of that person's life with some nutritional facts or things like that and change in diets?
I didn't hear that last part because it got a little shaky. But so the question is, can we naturally reverse a lot of stuff with coronary? So it's pretty interesting, just generally speaking. The human body is amazing, right? By the time you actually see diseases, and this is general, right? Everybody's a, but by the time you see significant cardiovascular diseases manifest, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a heart attack, or hey, I get chest pain and tightness whenever I go chase someone, or this person makes me mad and I get, or hey, I'm short of breath going up 2 flights of stairs, which likely is just heart failure in a lot of situations. By the time you've gotten to that point where you actually get symptoms, you've already taken out 70-80% of the natural system, right? Because the body has so much redundancy. Like, for example, an artery, it has so many blood contributories, like capillaries and all the rest of these kind of things, that by the time you get to the point where, hey, I'm walking and I get this chest tightness, you've already taken out 70-80% of the whole system. So to answer the question, can you reverse that? Yes and no. It took years to decades to build up, and people just didn't really know it. See, as time went on, we just always called it, well, I'm getting older, I'm tired, I'm just like, my age is setting in. We used to say that just to let these things build up. Can you reverse it? Yeah. Coronary disease can be reversed? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But if it took years to build up in a certain lifestyle, it's going to take years of the opposite lifestyle to get rid of it, right? And in America, we don't do that. We don't do that in America, right? It's a whole new lifestyle. We want to sit, want to eat, want to chill, want to enjoy ourselves. That's kind of, you go to Jamaica, you have to walk. You have no choice, right? I was telling some people, I went to Germany a few times, and you see 70, 80-year-old people out there riding their bikes up and down the street. Like, but they eat a lot of beer and I drink a lot of beer and eat a lot of pigs and stuff. Is that bad? I'm like, yeah, and they're more healthy than a lot of people I know. So it's the activity and such that people have to do to reverse those clocks and those things that you're talking about there, Mama. So can it be reversed? Yes. What do we have to do? Yeah. Another thing is interesting is I do this thing in my practice where I pretty much promise everybody, I'm like, listen, for the obese patients, I'm like, if you do exactly as I say, give me 6 weeks, I'm going to take 20 pounds off of you. No question. Just on diet and exercise. And then so I make them eat a certain way. It's, it's heavy vegetable based and such. But when they do that, that diet alone actually has been shown to reverse coronary artery disease. And if you can,
Oh,
the way the body's
excellent.
arteries are, like the same ones in your heart are the same ones that go down, your abs into your legs and then up through your neck. So it's the coronary tree, if you will. So if you clean out one
Yes, sir.
area, everything else gets cleaned out too. So yeah, I mean, I think we've helped a lot of people like that. But to your
Amen.
point, nobody wants
Oh,
to follow what they're doing. It's almost like religion, right? Somebody can tell you what to do to get salvation, but it's
Yes, sir. But you got to go yourself.
yes, exactly.
everybody wants to go
Absolutely.
to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Right?
I know, right? You know what, Dr. Smith? I was trying to figure out the quote for you, and I think that's gonna be the quote. I think that's gonna be the quote right there, Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, you've been absolutely amazing today. I'm afraid of this thing cutting off at a certain point, so I just want to say, look, for today, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna have you back on. I love you.
Hey, if you don't mind, yeah, it's
Mom's
great.
fan.
Let me talk about some health stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, we will, Dr. Smith. I'm gonna have you on here as much as you want to come on. We'll have you on because I think you're great. I think what you're doing, I think you're making a difference, and we need more people like you in this world. And there are people like you. It's just that they don't have the platform to do that. But now with the Buckle Up podcast universe with Brandon Rush, we can, and we will.
And so it will be a continuation. So,
Absolutely.
Brandon, what do you call a
Right.
season and an episode?
Yeah, it's a season. So I'm doing this is a show. It's a whole entire season.
It's a show. You are a show.
Yeah, you're part of
Oh,
it.
wow.
So this is we're going through season 1 right now. This is seasons, and the season's gonna be. We have like a 10-season show pretty much, which we do 22 episodes.
So
Oh, wow.
in that,
And we run it. It's ours. No one can take it from me.
yeah.
But we can add and make a
This would
difference
be
with what we
great.
do.
And so-
Absolutely.
And then
This would be
Brandon always
great.
gets questions. Dr. Smith, Brandon gets questions from the fans out there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so we'll start putting a list of questions together for you that they are asking. So when you come on again, you can answer some of the
Perfect.
questions that they are
I
asking
would
out
love
there.
to.
And we have a lot of, like Brandon mentioned, the young
Kids
people.
that are going in from high school into college, and then those from college trying to go to the next level, trying to go to med school, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's good. It's good. So we wanted everybody to learn who you were
Absolutely.
first, a little bit about your background. And that takes a while. We can't do it in the little 30 minutes that we have or time we have. But we will make sure that we hit
Absolutely.
everything that you want to hit moving forward as far as health, as far as things you've seen, things you want to correct, or whatever. We appreciate all of that.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to the time with you.
We're like Game of Thrones or the Marvel Universe. We're the first. You might be Doctor Strange or Dr. Smith. I'll call myself Thor over here. We're going. Mom's the Queen of Wakanda. We're getting it. We're building up the beginning because it's a universe. It's gonna be built out completely. So we're gonna have you back, Dr. Smith, for sure. And we thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, and I know your time is
Anytime,
valuable.
as much as possible.
but
This is fun.
appreciate
That's what I love doing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mama
Let your
Rush.
friends know. But you're our guy. But your friends are welcome to come on here. Your wife as well, who's a coach. I love to if your wife wants to end up talking on here, we love to have her because I think that's so important with
that'd
her
be
being a
great.
coach. Yeah,
And to
anytime.
the same degree, I'd love for you guys to come to a game or such. I'll get you.
Oh,
Don't tell her I'll
absolutely.
get you
We
front row
absolutely
seats in
will.
her little coaching box.
Okay, I can get some B-roll with the camera while I'm there. That'd be awesome.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. David Smith. We appreciate you.
All right,
I'll
guys.
get all this stuff
Looking
over
forward
to
to
you.
it.
You'll have it by tomorrow.
You'll have it
All
by
right, take
tomorrow.
care.
He'll have it posted. Okay.
Absolutely. Take care,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Smith.
much.
guys.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah, great job.
Great job.
Bravo. Bravo, Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith. Excellent.